The Cactus Rose Motel stood like a fragile oasis on the edge of Route 66, its neon sign blooming in vibrant pink and green, shaped like a thorny rose that pulsed against the vast New Mexico night. The desert air was cool and crisp, carrying the delicate scent of night-blooming flowers and the earthy tang of sand, while crickets chirped a rhythmic lullaby that seemed to weave itself into the stars above. I paced the walkway outside room 12, my red silk skirt swaying with each step, catching the neon's glow like a flame in the dark. My white blouse was light, slightly sheer, clinging to my skin in the evening chill, and my curly black hair was tied loosely in a ponytail, strands escaping to brush my shoulders. The sky was a tapestry of stars, unmarred by city lights, and a coyote's distant howl sent a shiver down my spine, both thrilling and unsettling. The motel's lot was quiet, save for the occasional hum of a truck passing on the highway, its headlights sweeping across the cacti like a fleeting spotlight. My name's Sofia, and I'm 25, a photographer who spent the last 3 years chasing the soul of the American Southwest with my camera and a heart full of dreams. I'd stopped at the Cactus Rose after a long day shooting sunsets in the desert, my body aching from hours crouched behind the lens, my spirit alive with the colors I'd captured. The room behind me was cozy, almost too intimate for a place so transient. Floral curtains in shades of rose and cream, a double bed draped in sheets patterned with faint roses, and a vintage radio on the nightstand playing soft jazz that crackled through the static. The air smelled of dust and wax, undercut by the faint sweetness of my jasmine perfume, a scent I'd worn since I was a teenager dreaming of adventure. A small mirror hung above the dresser, reflecting my face, hazel eyes bright with exhaustion, olive skin flushed from the day's heat, lips faded from the sun's relentless kiss. I'd checked in that afternoon, my backpack heavy with camera gear and a notebook where I sketched ideas for my next project. The motel clerk, a wiry woman named Rosa with a smoker's rasp, had handed me the key to room 12 with a knowing smile, like she'd seen 1,000 wanderers like me pass through. I'd paid with cash from a gig selling prints at a gallery in Santa Fe, the bills crumpled and warm from my pocket. Now, as midnight approached, I stood outside, my camera resting on the railing, its lens pointed at the neon sign, trying to capture the way its light danced against the dark. I adjusted the settings, the shutter clicking softly, each shot a moment stolen from the night. That's when I heard it, the low, throaty roar of a motorcycle cutting through the desert's quiet. Headlights swept across the lot, and a sleek black bike rolled to a stop under the neon rose, its chrome glinting like a promise. The rider pulled off his helmet, revealing sharp features, green eyes that caught the light like emeralds, and a smile that seemed to light up the darkness. He was lean, with dark hair that fell messily over his forehead, and a leather jacket that looked like it had seen as many miles as I had. He swung a leg over the bike, his boots crunching on the gravel, and glanced my way, his smile widening. "Evening," he said, his voice smooth as velvet, with a hint of a southern drawl that made my pulse quicken. "You the only one awake around here?" "Sofia," I said, stepping closer, my camera dangling from its strap. "And yeah, seems like it. You got a name?" "Mateo," he replied, leaning against his bike, his eyes scanning me with a mix of curiosity and amusement. "Just passing through." "You a photographer?" I nodded, gesturing to my camera. "Chasing light," I said. "This place has some good shadows." He laughed, a sound that filled the quiet, warm and infectious, and I found myself smiling back. We talked there by his bike, the neon sign casting pink and green hues across his face, making his eyes seem even brighter. He was a musician, he told me, touring small bars and dive joints across the Southwest, his guitar strapped to the back of his bike like a faithful companion. I told him about my photography, the way I tried to capture the soul of places like this, motels, diners, the endless road. We swapped stories of our travels, A bar in Tucson where he'd played to a crowd of 10, a canyon in Utah where I'd shot a sunrise that felt like a revelation. The conversation flowed easily, like we'd known each other for years, not minutes. He offered to play me a song, pulling his guitar from its case, the wood worn but polished, gleaming under the neon. "Got a request?" he asked, his fingers already strumming a soft chord. "Something about the road," I said, sitting on the curb, my skirt pooling around me. He nodded, his eyes locking on mine, and began to play a slow, soulful tune about highways and heartbreaks, his voice low and rich, weaving through the night like a spell. I watched his hands, nimble on the strings, and felt a pull, a connection I hadn't expected. When he finished, the silence was heavy, alive with possibility, and I stood, my heart racing. "Want to see my room?" I asked, my voice softer than I meant it to be. He smiled, slinging his guitar over his shoulder, and followed me to room 12, the door creaking as it shut behind us. The jazz on the radio played on, its notes mingling with the hum of the neon outside, and we sat on the bed, sharing a bottle of wine I'd bought in Albuquerque. The conversation turned personal, dreams we'd chased, loves we'd lost. His hand brushed mine as he passed the bottle, and when our eyes met, the air crackled. His kiss came suddenly, soft at first, then deepening, his hands gentle on my waist, pulling me close. The room spun, the neon's pink glow filtering through the curtains, painting our skin in shades of rose. We fell onto the bed, my blouse slipping off, his jacket hitting the floor, our bodies moving in harmony like a song reaching its crescendo. It was passionate, intense, each touch a note in a melody we were writing together. As we lay afterward, his arm around me, the radio's jazz fading into static, I felt a warmth I hadn't known in years, but also a flicker of doubt, a shadow in his eyes that hinted at a story untold. Morning light streamed into the Cactus Rose, harsh and unforgiving, the neon sign pale and lifeless against the bright New Mexico sky. I woke to the sound of birdsong and the distant rumble of a truck, Mateo's arm still draped over me, his breath warm against my neck. The bed was a tangle of rose-patterned sheets, and the air smelled of jasmine and sweat, a reminder of the night before. I smiled, tracing the lines of his arm, but then his phone buzzed on the nightstand, insistent and sharp. He stirred, reaching for it, his face clouding as he read the screen. "Band stuff," he muttered, setting it down, but I saw the name, Elena. My stomach twisted, but I pushed it aside, slipping out of bed to make coffee with the motel's ancient machine. The room felt smaller now, the jazz replaced by the hum of the air conditioner, and I pulled on my blouse, the fabric cool against my skin. Mateo joined me at the small table by the window, his hair mussed, his smile strained. "Sleep okay?" he asked, sipping the weak coffee. "Yeah," I lied, my eyes flicking to his phone. "You?" He nodded, but the air was heavy, the silence awkward where last night it had been alive. We dressed and headed to a diner across the road, a greasy spoon with a jukebox stuck on old rock ballads. Over pancakes and more bad coffee, I asked about his band, trying to keep it light. He talked about gigs in El Paso, a drummer who drank too much, a bassist who never showed up on time. But when I mentioned the phone, his smile faltered. "Elena's the singer," he said finally, his voice low. "We were together, on and off, for a couple years. It's over now, but it's complicated." The word hit like a chord out of tune, and I stared at my plate, the syrup congealing. "Complicated how?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "She's got a hold on me, you know? Not love, not anymore. Just history. She keeps calling, wanting to pull me back." I nodded, my throat tight, and we finished our meal in silence. Back at the motel, we spent the day together, him strumming his guitar while I edited photos on my laptop, the neon sign flickering to life as evening fell. He wrote a song. Desert Rose, inspired by me, he said, and played it under the stars, his voice wrapping around me like a blanket. I photographed him, the pink and green light catching the planes of his face, and for a moment, I believed we could outrun whatever ghosts haunted him. But the calls kept coming, late at night, his phone lighting up with her name. He'd silence it, but I saw the tension in his shoulders, the way his fingers hesitated on the strings. Doubt grew, a weed in the cracks of our connection, and I wondered if I was just a stop on his tour, a melody he'd forget. One evening, under the neon rose, I couldn't hold it in. "Is this real, Mateo?" I asked, tears stinging my eyes. "Or am I just a song you'll stop singing?" He set his guitar down, his eyes searching mine, and pulled me into his arms. "It's real," he said, his voice fierce. "You're not just a song, Sofia. You're the whole damn album." He kissed me, hard and desperate, and showed me his phone, deleting Elena's number in front of me, the screen glowing in the dark. We made love that night, fiercer than before, like we were claiming each other from the past, the bed creaking, the neons hum a steady pulse. But as I drifted to sleep, his arms around me, I wondered if a deleted number could erase a history, or if love found in a motel was just a fleeting note in the desert's song. Weeks passed at the Cactus Rose, the motel becoming our sanctuary as Route 66 stretched endlessly outside. Mateo and I fell into a rhythm, mornings spent exploring the desert, me photographing rock formations while he hummed melodies, afternoons in small-town bars, where he'd play and I'd capture the crowd's reactions, evenings back at the motel, sharing wine and dreams under the neon's glow. His touch was familiar now, his laugh a melody I craved, and he wrote more songs, each one a piece of us, our first kiss, the way the stars looked that night, the curve of my smile in his lens. But Elena's shadow lingered, a dissonant chord in our harmony. Late-night calls stopped, but I'd catch him staring at his phone, his fingers hovering like he was waiting for it to ring. I'd think of my own past, a boyfriend in Santa Fe who'd promised forever, then left me with a half-empty apartment and a broken lens. I'd sworn never to trust like that again, but Mateo's green eyes, his voice, made me want to try. One night, under the neon rose, I confronted him again. "What's holding you back?" I asked, my voice shaking. The desert wind was sharp, carrying sand that stung my skin, and he looked at me, his face raw with emotion. "It's not her," he said. "It's me. I'm scared of messing this up, Sofia. You're everything I didn't know I needed." Tears fell, and he pulled me close, his lips finding mine under the pink glow. He showed me a box of old letters from Elena, kept in his guitar case, and we burned them in a small fire outside, the flames licking the night sky. The act felt final, like a chord resolving, and we made love afterward, slow and tender, the jazz radio playing softly, the neon casting roses on our skin. The next week, we performed Desert Rose at a local bar, my photos projected as a backdrop, his voice soaring. The crowd loved it, and I felt alive, like we were creating something bigger than us. But Elena called one last time, her voice desperate through the phone speaker. Mateo looked at me, his eyes steady, and ended the call, blocking her for good. "It's you," he said, kissing me in front of the cheering crowd. We left the Cactus Rose soon after, his motorcycle packed with my camera gear, my arms around his waist as we rode east. The motel faded in the distance, its neon rose a memory against the dawn. The road stretched ahead, wide and uncertain, but his hand found mine at every stop, his songs a soundtrack to our journey. Love on Route 66 was a melody we were still writing, full of sharp notes and soft ones, but it was ours, a harmony born in the desert, carrying us toward the horizon.